You know that feeling when a problem seems so big, you just freeze? Well, in this explainer, we're going to walk through a really practical guide to help you turn that overwhelming feeling into calm, manageable, and wise steps forward. Yeah, this probably feels pretty familiar, right? Staring at a problem that feels like this massive, unclimbable wall. You've no idea where to even start. Trust me, you are not alone in feeling that way. And that feeling of being totally stuck, that's exactly what we're going to tackle first. All right, so when you're feeling completely lost, where do you even begin? Well, the most important step is always the first one, and that's all about creating a little bit of clarity. So here's the absolute key idea, the foundation for everything else. This isn't about ignoring your feelings, not at all. It's about understanding that the problem itself, the actual objective situation, is one thing, and your emotional reaction to it, that's something totally separate. Getting that distinction clear in your head, that's your starting line. Okay, that brings us right to our next section where we're going to get super practical. It's time to untangle that messy knot of thoughts and feelings so we can see the problem for what it really is. And the whole goal here is to get clarity before you even think about jumping into action. Okay, your first task, you got to become a bit of a detective. Look at the problem like you're just gathering facts. Ask yourself those simple questions. What is actually happening here? No drama, just the facts. Who's involved? When did it all start? This whole process, it helps you break down that giant wall of a problem into smaller, individual bricks, and dealing with one brick at a time, way less scary. Let's look at this separation in action, because this is huge. Okay, the problem is, I missed a work deadline. Simple. But the emotion, the reaction is, I feel like a total failure. See the massive difference? One is just an event that happened. The other is this powerful and honestly pretty painful story we tell ourselves about that event. All right, now that we've got a little bit of clarity, it is time to open up the toolkit. This next section is all about practical, real-world strategies you can use to manage both your emotions and the problem itself. So, first things first, before you can even think about logic, you have to calm that emotional storm. If you're feeling angry, your first job is just to stop. Seriously, pause, take a deep breath, and if you can, physically step away from whatever's going on. Feeling impatient? That's your cue to break the task down into even tinier pieces. And if it's despair, look, the key is not to bottle it up. Acknowledge that you feel that way and then talk to someone you trust. Okay, once the emotional side is a bit more managed, then you can bring your logical brain to the party. The most important part here is step 1. Brainstorm and do not judge your ideas. I mean it. Let every single idea out, no matter how wild or silly it seems. Then you can look at them all, evaluate the pros and cons, and just choose one small, actionable thing to try. Just see what happens. This is so not about finding the perfect fix right away. It's just about getting the ball rolling. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Sure, that all sounds great. But what about that little voice in my head that pipes up and says, this is never going to work, or you're just going to mess it up anyway? Yes, that's where our toolkit gets even more specific. The answer is this really powerful technique called cognitive reframing. And let me be clear, this is not toxic positivity or just thinking happy thoughts. It's more like being a lawyer for your own mind. You catch that negative thought, you put it on the stand, and you challenge it. You ask, okay, where's the actual evidence for this? And then you deliberately replace it with something that's more realistic and balanced. And for those moments when you're right in the thick of it, that intense, in-the-moment stress, the guide also recommends some simple distress tolerance exercises. These are things you can do right now, wherever you are, like focusing on your breathing, or maybe just slowly counting the books on a shelf. Anything to ground yourself when you feel that wave of overwhelm about to hit. Okay, so we have the core concepts and we have the tools. Now what? Well, let's put it all together into a concrete plan. This next section gives us a super simple 7-day roadmap to put all of this into practice, one day at a time. Just look at how manageable this is. Each day has one single focused task. That's it. Day 1, you're just writing the problem down. That's your only job. Day 4 is just taking one small action. See, this isn't about magically solving everything in a week. No way. It's about building momentum and proving to yourself, step by step, that progress is totally possible. And this brings us to the final, and honestly, probably the most important takeaway from all of this. What's the real goal of this whole process? What's the core message behind all these tools and steps? Okay, if you remember one thing, let it be this. Nobody is born a great problem solver. It's a skill. It's just like learning to play the guitar or kicking a soccer ball. It takes practice, and it absolutely requires you to be patient with yourself. You're not going to be perfect at it, and that is more than okay. The goal here is just improvement, not perfection. And this final quote from the source material just beautifully captures the entire philosophy. True strength lies in calmness and awareness, not in violence or surrender. In other words, real strength isn't about trying to brute force a solution or just giving up. It's found in that quiet space of calm awareness, where you can finally see things clearly and then act wisely. So, I'm going to leave you with this one final question. Let's forget about the whole 7-day plan for a second, forget about the whole problem. Just based on everything we've talked about, what is one tiny, totally manageable step that you can take today?